Looks okay, but the looks like I'm in a hello. Oh, I'm live already. Okay, guys. Well, this is my first time of going live on my laptop. Um, I've got to update my iPad, but I have Kim on the phone. She has a channel called Kim Overholt Arts and Entertainment Studio. Is that correct, Kim?
That's right, yes. If you want to see it on YouTube, it's Kim Overholt Art.
Oh, okay, great. Well, she's a great artist and she does great pictures of Brad Pitt, okay, and among several other celebrities, actually. And next time I'll have her on the channel with me so you can see her also. But you can always go to her. She's does a little live show almost every morning during the week about art and everything. And but anyway, we both met on Twitter because of all these fake Brad Pitt impersonators. And it was kind of getting to us after a while. And for some reason, we're both very intelligent women. And we were, for whatever reason, we were believing it was really him. Okay. So, Kim, you want to talk some more about it? I'll let you swing in.
You know, I can't even remember. Did I contact you or did you contact me? Because it's been a while now. How long has it been? Like 3 years almost?
I think I was having a bad day with one of them. And yeah, and then I just contacted you on Twitter and we immediately started talking about them. And we couldn't believe how many women were just believing it was him and everything. And how it first started was I went to a Sag-Aftra premiere of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with Tarantino, DiCaprio, and Pitt. I've lived in LA like 7 times in the last 20 years, you know. So even if I never make the big time, I'm definitely hooked on being an actress. I'm probably too milk and toast or goody two shoes to make it. I don't know. Who knows? But anyway, I've taken enough classes that I'm pretty good at it. I've spent a large fortune on charge cards, etc. So anyway, I'm sitting there and I am so excited with everybody else because we didn't know that it would be all 3 of those. We thought maybe they were just going to interview like the wardrobe person and the set designer and people like that, which is still awesome for SAG-AFTRA. But then when all 3 come out on stage at the end for the Q&A after we saw the premiere of the picture at the Art Clinic in Hollywood, it was so exciting. My stomach fell out of my butterflies just made my stomach go on overload or whatever. I was just so excited. And so I immediately thought, oh, how do I get a hold? Oh, yes. I was like, how do I get a hold of Brad? I was just like wanting to say something on Twitter about it. Because one time years ago, I saw him at a school when I was subbing, but I didn't know it was him until a teacher came down the hall and said, oh, that was him picking up the homework. And she was upset because she didn't get to meet him. And, you know, I've seen him out and about, but I kind of choked when it was time to say hi or something. I was in his Moneyball picture, whatever. So, but anyway, you know, I've wanted to meet a lot of celebs, and I've met some. I've met several, actually. Unfortunately, I met Weinstein one time, but then I met the great Mark Ruffalo, who had the same acting teacher. I've met several. But anyway, okay, so we're like talking about it online on Twitter. And so I'm just like posting stuff about it. And the next thing you know, I have so many of them in my inbox. And you got them too, right? And some even copied your artwork of Pitt and put it on their pages, right?
Yes, you know, and that's how I usually, like, at least I know that there's people liking my art if they at least, you know, they're posting it on their places. I'm like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah, he's so cute and everything. And, you know, and then you were getting all those people, mostly women, a few men, I guess, but whatever, yeah. That's for another show. That's another show, right? So anyway, basically, you know, we're just so excited that we saw him, you know, online. We thought, oh, this is really him on Twitter, Instagram, even Facebook. But it was never him. And we started to have to report them. And some of them tried to get me to fall in love with them. One wanted me to ride in this Bentley truck, which I didn't even know the Bentley made a truck. And this was when I lived in LA. They would, text me that Angie was getting on their nerves, and I thought they were divorced or she left them at the airport, and all kinds of crazy, crazy stories. And just tell us all about some of your stories that you heard.
Well, you know what? When I was drawing Brad Pitt, I was hoping that maybe I could contact him just to see if maybe I could help with anything studio-wise. I didn't even think about like falling in love with Brad Pitt. It wasn't on my list of things to do. But what ended up happening is that there's some of them, and they're so convincing that I just kind of said to myself, okay, well, if that's what's going on, okay.
Yep.
But eventually you learn. It's like, okay, when they started asking for things, it's like, okay, there's something going on.
Yes, they start asking all kinds of personal questions. And then some seemed to be so interested in me and the fact that I was single or divorced and what happened in my other relationships. I mean, some were kind of intelligent, others were not so much. And then I immediately knew it wasn't him, but some were kind of convincing. And then of course, most of it was all during the pandemic. And I was out in LA at the time. It was pretty much locked down here in Texas too at the time. But out there, it was super locked down. I mean, you weren't supposed to go out, walk your dog after 7. Yeah, tell us about Canada. See, you're up in Canada.
Yes, in Canada we had lockdown as well, and it was sad and pathetic because there were so many people who were needing that extra, to talk to people and get out. And
yes,
and we were told no.
Right.
So yeah.
Like a normal person would, right?
Yeah, exactly. We're normal.
I know. For the 7th time, I moved my dog and cat all the way across the country again to pursue my dream of Hollywood. I moved at that time from Austin. I'm in Dallas right now, my hometown city. But,
Never give up your dreams.
Absolutely. And my dog, it was so excited all the time. And my cat was a domesticated feral, but he's quickly learned the ropes and liked it out there too. And the weather's awesome. But my one of my brothers had passed away from cancer. He was special needs, and I had an elderly cat that passed. So I had just needed a change. So I went out there, and sure enough, lo and behold, not long after I was out there getting all settled, ready to audition in person, which I was able to do a little bit of that, a couple things, and then get started substitute teaching and get some jobs going, the actor-friendly jobs and whatnot. Next thing you know, it's like lockdown. You can't walk your dog after a certain time at night. So I'm not left with a whole lot. I mean, I'm left with, it makes it sound like I was still doing some acting seminars online. I was talking to my friends out there or in California or out there or, and initially they didn't shut down our pool, but eventually they shut down our swimming pool. The only thing I could really do was walk around with my dog and talk to these damn imposters, which I wasn't. I mean, I was trying not to. And every time I'd block and report them, they would come in under a new Brad Pitt persona, right? Tell us about that, how you experience. They would pop up as one and then come up as a new one, right? Tell us.
Yeah, it would be actually kind of funny where, you're having a conversation with somebody and then you see somebody saying, hello, how are you? I'm glad you're a fan of mine. How long have you been a fan for?
Right, yeah. They start with that and like it's but then when they do it so many times, you think, golly, after one of them had tried to tell me he was madly in love with me and wanted me to marry him. One even sent me a picture of us being married in a foreign country and all kinds of crazy stuff. They sent and of course, I'm an older single woman. I have feelings. I mean, I was affected. What?
They were giving out his passport with a fake passport.
Yes.
You know what? I didn't even know Brad Pitt's social insurance number. I'm not supposed to know that kind of stuff.
Right, social security. Well, I think I saw one of those. I looked at one of the driver's licenses they sent me a picture of, and it turned out on the driver's license, it said that he was 5'5" or 5'6", and I thought, I know he's taller than that. Because I read somewhere he's like 5'11" or something like that. I thought he was 6 foot, but then when I've seen him in person a few times, I thought he'd be like as tall as Hugh Grant or John Cusack, one of those taller actors. And then I realized, well, he's almost as tall. And then if he wears higher shoes, but when I saw him on that stage, he was wearing moccasins, but like in the movie. But yeah, so that right there is a red flag that they're using somebody else's driver's license. And I reported them to several places. Yeah, I think Elon Musk got rid of a lot of them on Twitter. But it was upsetting because I at the time, well, I still don't have a boyfriend right now, but I, but anyway, at least I'm meeting real people in real life now. The pandemic is over with. So, but they were convincing me to fall in love with them, and then I started to, because of course, I don't know, maybe it was the legal smokes that I was able to obtain out there, perhaps. I mean, out there, everyone, it's all recreational or medical, or, you're in the pandemic or at home drinking a glass of wine or what have you. Or maybe it was just.
You're smoking it out there trying to blow it up your ass.
Right. It's like you're out there and you're walking your dog and you're meeting. My dog is trying to meet the homeless, and I feel so sorry. And that's what always scares me about being out there. But now we have, because then I worry, if I don't get my act together and start making more money, get on the ball or get roommates, I mean, I've done, if you look at me, I was going to invite you to Clubhouse sometime because that's a good place to network too.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, but on there, I put all my other jobs that I've ever had. But I thought that kind of makes it show that in real life I could do all these different roles, cashier, substitute teacher, small town news reporter, blah, 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 secretary, but anyway, I have like you can put all your jobs on there that you've ever had, like in your bio. Of course, you could do that anywhere, but I was thinking, on there I could maybe find, like an idiot. So maybe the real Brad Pitt's on there. Well, no, they have fake ones on there too, And then there's a fake one on LinkedIn. And then I was also invited to audition for a project. And then, of course, later on, I find out they loved my audition, but that I would have to pay a big fee or $2,000 or something to be in a like a new film. It was just, and I reported one of them to the Directors Guild, and they said they do get those pretty common. It's not unusual. Catherine Bigelow film or something, they're using her name. They're using, oh gosh, it was other people's names too. And and then I decided at one point I had a DiCaprio one messaging me, and I thought maybe maybe this is really DiCaprio. I mean, I thought this is making me crazy, and so I'm turning into a nutcase. And so then I thought, well, he's single, and the next thing you know, of course, he only dates women that are much younger than him, and of course Pitt does too. But he dates kind of, I guess, different ages, but most of them are all younger. But DiCaprio dates, much younger. So all of a sudden he decides that he wants to go out with me, and they all want to know how old I really am. And I'm like, well, am I acting? I audition for roles in my 40s or 50s, like 45 to 55-ish, or, up to, whatever. But then you see all these, I may or may not be one side or the other of 60, whatever. But I mean, you see all these brilliant actresses that are so perfect looking anyway, probably go to a trainer every day and never drive through Jack in the Box like I have and such. But are you there?
Yeah,
oh, good. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I get. Kim is such a, oh, really? Oh, great. Well, and can you hear yourself as well?
No, I have it turned down because I don't want to feedback.
Oh, okay. Well, then it'll look like I'm an idiot if I've got you turned up as loud as I can, I believe. Let me double check. I'm pretty sure I do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a delay. I'm watching, and I can see it's got a little delay going on.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Turn it up a second and make sure that we can hear you as well.
Okay.
Because you're more technically advanced than I am in some ways, and then in other ways, what's that? But then I know some things. Yeah.
I'm just waiting. I'm watching you.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we'll have to. We'll get better at it as time goes on. I've been really inspired by this Sean Cannell. He has a class about doing all this stuff, online, getting better at YouTube.
Yes,
I
that's great.
sent you a link about him. But no, and so anyway, I thought, oh gosh, that's right. So then I'm like texting back to Caprio. I'm thinking, it's not even him. I'm thinking, oh, well, maybe you would be better anyway. I'm thinking, how much have I smoked? Or I hadn't even drank much at all, but, or maybe just living in a dream world with the pandemic or something. I'm thinking, well, if I told him I needed to drop some weight, get better shape, but I do look pretty young for my age. I always have. I mean, even when I was like in college or even in my 20s, I'd get carded at nightclubs. They'd think I was in middle school or high school. It's just like a generic thing. But like my father said, we all our organs are old on the inside, so whatever. But my grandmother lived to be 99. I know. So, but I'm thinking, here. I am like, because I knew I was becoming a nut when I said to the fake DiCaprio one, well, maybe you and I would have more in common because I've never had children and you've never had children, and you've always. I was only married once years ago in my 20s. I was very young, and so we're more used to being single and everything, maybe. Whereas Pitt's been married a couple times and has a lot of children, although three. Yes,
I'm sure he's got lots of children.
Oh, right. Oh, gosh. Uh-oh. Kim. Maybe he does. Maybe he has more than six. Well, three are actually his. Well, they're all his, but three by adoption and three by biology class or biology, whatever. So, but yeah, maybe he does. Who knows? I mean, he really is cute when you see him. Uh, when he was bouncing across that stage with those moccasins on, he looked so carefree. He looked very happy. That's the first time I've ever seen him look happy like that. So I mean, he's always happy, but he was really happy because I guess he really enjoyed being in that film, and I guess it was exciting probably to work with, even though he's a big star himself, to work with Tarantino and DiCaprio. I'm sure that was exciting for everybody. But that was really exciting. But I wish I had said something to him one time when I saw him at a marina restaurant, but I wasn't sure if it was him. Then later on, I figured out it was. But that other time, I think it was him on the motorcycle. But you get kind of to a point where, and at a party too, one of those networking parties I went to, it was during the Oscars were going on that night, but they had different places near some of them. They had little mini Oscar parties. I've never been to the one of the big ones, or I've never been to the award shows or anything. But maybe someday, before I'm elderly or something, maybe we can go. Maybe we'll be in a film. Well, I know, yeah, and see, we could both do. I'm trying to learn other things besides the acting, like learn behind the camera stuff. See, and you could do that too, because I try not to be negative in my channel. I mean, I say there are 1.7 million actors on the planet, and then if you keep working at it, you'll be among the 150,000, or I guess it's 160,000 now that are in the Screen Actors Guild, Sag-Aftra, right? Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. Okay, so but anyway, but yeah, so many actors do a lot of other things. They write, they produce, they direct, they you could do set design, makeup artist. You would be a great makeup artist too, because you always, I can tell when you put on makeup on your channel, you do a great job. Absolutely, you could do that, or just make up the actors, or and then occasionally when they occasionally if somebody for a small role doesn't show up or there's a kink in production with scheduling, at the last minute, they will pick up somebody from the crew who has acting training or background or can do it over one of the extras, which always upsets the extras because
I'd love to be an understudy.
yeah, see, and the extras are, always on the sets, waiting. Of course, a lot of extras are also writer, producers, SAG-Aftra actors. In Hollywood, I learned this at a commercial class with Mike Pointer one time. You never know who you're talking to, and he was lecturing mainly to the young people because you know me, I'm always nice and sweet to everyone. Although Kim and I've known each other so much, we talk on the phone, some on Messenger and different apps, but basically, um, you know, he was saying you never know who you're talking to because some people that you don't think are important out there are really important. I mean, like they could be a silent producer or anything. And out there, one thing too, people don't dress. A lot of times they don't dress like in Dallas, it's mostly business. Like I've sold insurance here or different. And now, of course, you don't have to dress up as much as you used to, but you still need to dress like business casual, or even to be a substitute teacher or different jobs. To be in an office, you don't have to totally dress up like you used to. Like when I first got out of college, even to work at those small little papers, sometimes we'd be dressed up and then have to wear an apron to go in the dark room back when we had the film canisters. I mean, we had to do everything at those small papers. But out in LA, you people run around important people like with shorts and on or jeans or you never know who you're going to run into. And a lot of times they don't, everybody's like in a hurry. I guess because it's so expensive. They're running from one job or business to the other, right? It's just so right, exactly. So, but it's an interesting place out there, and it's an addictive place to live. So, so eventually I might move back. Actually, the rents are going down a little bit out there if you want to just live in a little cubby hole. Oh,
Yeah, my nephew, he's out there with his kids right now in Hollywood, and they're walking around looking at the Hollywood sign, and they're walking with all the stars on the sidewalks and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I've been there.
Oh, wow. It's too bad you couldn't go or we couldn't meet out there. So,
well, I know.
Well, well, we'll be going. And I just realized I'm filming this thing in front of this closet, but this is the only way I could do this today. I was just in the mood to do this, and we've been talking about this so long. And I was in a little casting workshop. I get some of these with different things I've been in, and he was talking about don't worry so much about your background, and then but technically I could put a thing in the back of it. But like if you say, for example, you are on set and you are filming in the wardrobe truck, a lot of people go live with permission from wardrobe trucks, from like say you're in one of those little honey wagons to get ready for your set or something. Now, tell us about Canada. You're out in Canada, up in Canada by Niagara, and they do some filming. Of course, they do a lot in Toronto, but they do some by you too. And you work in a music store too, right? Kim is such a fantastic listener, isn't she? Marvelous. I'm sorry, I'm talking so much. Tell us about all that.
Yeah, you know what? We have this spot in Niagara on the Lake, and if you walk down the street, it's almost like you've come straight out of the 1800s. It's old shops. They don't have any high-rise buildings or anything out there. You have a big church. You have a big one of those clock steeples out there. It looks so fashionable, and a lot of the old movie sets. They usually do a lot of the movies out in Niagara on the Lake, and there's some places in St. Catharines. When I grew up, my not high school, my grade school, Victoria School, it was made that one movie, A Christmas Story. They made the movie there. Actually, I know that whole classroom. If you watch A Christmas Story, I know that classroom from the movie, and it's so funny to actually see it going on for Netflix, or sometimes they do stuff for. I
Yeah.
can't think of the other places at the moment.
It's so pretty up there. My parents, as I told you, got married at Niagara Falls since they met in Oneida, where they were from, but upstate New York. I haven't been up there in years. I was in New York City a couple times um, years ago after that, but it's exciting. I mean, life is so short. You know, unless you're a jet setter to be everywhere at once or have a lot of money. Kim and I are trying to win the lottery. We're going to make a big movie.
That's right. I got my studio ready to go, and it's just a matter of the money thing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we have to. And you already.
A producer like Brad Pitt to come along and produce us. You see?
Well, we can. I'm learning that you don't have to have money to be a producer. We just have to find the right investors. We just have to find all these people to invest and get everybody together to collaborate. And we could write our films, our scripts individually. Maybe if we did more than one, we'd write each our own script or collaborate on a third script, or depends on how close you are to the script. At one point, and I'll probably call him again. He had to go on to be a teacher currently, but he was out of New York Film School one time, a long time ago. We were going to put together a little web series about being an insurance agent. And then I had written some of it, but then he wanted to rewrite it and kind of change it up a lot. So sometimes if you have it a certain way, because I've been an insurance agent, was based on certain things in Texas, and then he wanted to base it in California. And I thought, well, California has some different characters out there, but they're very different. Some of them, I mean, there's a lot of similarities too, actually, between the two states, although a lot of people wouldn't see it. But these characters would have had to have been in Texas. So I mean, but it's like but anyway, or even if you didn't want to write it, you could find a writer to do it. And
I have so many stories that we could collaborate on a lot of things together, man.
Right, but we have to write it, or if we can't write it all, find writers to help us. It's just, you have to collaborate with so many people. Then you have to get investors to invest in your film, but you have to have a project ready to sell and finished, and then you sell it like it's an advertising piece. Like it's like you put it on these storyboards and different things. I'm like trying to learn all that. I've taken some class and then that, but I can't afford to do all this stuff. I may put a link in, all these different classes online you can take, but it's like, I've had to go to the dentist, and then this thing with somebody messed with my car underneath, it's like Dallas is getting crime now. It's not as bad as LA or New York or Chicago or anything, but it's all the big cities are getting more crime now with everything, all the influx of people.
More crime, more homeless, unfortunately.
Yes, and so many people are coming in from all over the world to, I guess, flee their situation, which I guess maybe is worse. I don't know. I mean, some of them are living, they're living in extreme situations here. They had to close down part of El Paso, I think, to the streets. They live in tents, but every time I've moved back to LA, there's been more and more tents out there. It's been unreal, but what can you do? Of course, that's a great place. If that's going to happen to you, that's a good place to do it, I suppose, because the weather's so much nicer. I mean, I see people trying to camp out here if it's 10 degrees. Dallas gets anywhere from 5 or 10 degrees, 20 degrees, 30, up to about, 90, 100, 105, 110 even. I mean, if it gets, it gets worse like out in West Texas or South Texas, or, most of the time, the highest it gets here is 105, but sometimes it can stay that way for several days. And, that's hard for people to camp out in that. Or when we had all the ice storms and everything, it's like, I do miss living in LA. I mean, Huntington Beach was so marvelous. You never had to use an air conditioner.
I never made it to the beach.
Oh my God, you'll have to go. We'll have to all meet out there. And we just, and every day, 24/7, there's all these meetings about all these things. A lot of them are in person now. I mean,
Have you ever
everybody.
been to San Clemente?
Yes, I don't think so, unless I was an extra there one day to drove there. But I mean, literally, the whole acting business is, like at least people like there's people wanting to make movies out there 24/7. I mean, uh, but a lot of people don't ever get to that point, or if they finish it, they have a hard time distributing it. There's so many rules now, with all the things, with
And
this.
look how many people you have to contend with. There's so many actors and producers and directors and people who are just getting their feet wet out there.
Yeah, well, you have to basically just get a team together and just keep working on your different projects. But it's a lot of work. I mean, a lot of people just stick to one thing, but in case I'm on IMDb and everything. I had some small acting roles and auditioned for a few better ones, but in case I never get that big break, for a bigger role, I may have to write something better for myself. You have to maybe write a good project for yourself. But even then, you have to get distribution, and that's the hard part, is getting it seen. I know a number of actors that have been in movies and they put it together, but it's hard to find it. You might find it online someplace. You have to really promote it. You know what I mean? You have to find somebody to buy it. And I guess that's what they have all these, a lot of these negotiations right now are negotiating with all these new streaming services.
Right, with the strike.
Yeah, because back in the day, like if you were like in old episodes, I guess, of I Love Lucy, or even beyond that, like I just got hooked on that show Melrose Place years ago and just found it again online. But it's like all these great shows, but back then, before the internet became so popular with the streaming and so advanced with technology, if a show appeared, like especially the sitcoms reruns and everything, actors would get paid every time their episode would come back on. Well, now it's not necessarily the case, so they reduce the amount of money that you make. Because I know one time I thought I was going to have a little role on My Wife and Kids one time as a nun. It was like a little role. I was Sister Mary, but then they still ended up putting it on a non-union voucher, and I didn't technically have any lines, although I had a lot of actions, and they referred to me and stuff. So, but yeah, but technically that whenever that episode airs, I don't get paid again for that. At the time I was non-union, and I was so excited just to be in things. This is like 20 years ago, the first time I moved out there. And they also did that AI with everybody. They tried to say 20 years ago, we were so excited they would film us in different things, and said, well, we could use that on future episodes of us running in the background, save us from having to come back to set. Well, back then I was non-union. I didn't know. I mean, of course I was younger then. I looked a little better, and and all that stuff. But I mean,
so what would you say is the difference between being an actress being in Sag-Aftra and then being non-union?
Well, that's it. I mean, non-union is better. It's a good place to be for as long as you can, and then eventually become SAG eligible, because with non-union, you have a lot more freedom. See, for example, I cannot always be in a lot of non-union projects anymore. I've had to turn down some decent little independent roles, even one where I would have had a lead to play a lady that's a writer. They were going to film it here in Texas, and some different things. Because once you become in the union, you cannot do a lot of these non-union projects. Whereas if you're non-union, you are free to be in whatever you want to be in. But the only thing is most of the big studios, and if you want to, advance forward to get bigger roles with bigger actors, and advance your career to a point where you're in bigger studio films and such, and work with top professionals, then eventually you will want to be in SAG-Aftra, because that's what Meryl Streep and all these top actresses and actors are in. But I think a few of the top actors actually went FICOR, which that's kind of a gray area where they decided they could be in both, but then they lose a lot of the privileges of being in Sag-Aftra. But one nice thing is once you join Sag-Aftra, then you get to go to a lot of these premieres where you see a lot of these top actors, like when I got to see that screening at the ArcLight in Hollywood, where Tarantino and Pitt and DiCaprio were. Yes, and so, but actors are always in such a big rush. Now, it took me 10 years to get into SAG-AFTRA, but and it was because I'd been in some things, but then finally I was in a had like a speaking part as an attorney in a web series, and but a lot of actors I know, when I used to do a lot of extra work before I started taking all the serious classes the first time I moved to LA, basically they were always in such a big rush to get into SAG-AFTRA and everything, and but there are limitations. And actually, some of the non-union commercials used to pay more than some of the SAG-AFTRA ones, but now it's everything kind of changes. The studios actually are in negotiation on changing so many things, but actually a lot of these streaming services don't want to pay as much, like for, because once you're in the union, they have to pay you for more things. But now it's like, even with all these auditions, you kind of almost, that's where you kind of get the idea, maybe I could put my own little film together someday, even if it's just a short, because you have to put all your own, like that day that I was calling different, I have some readers that are actors like in LA, and then that friend of mine in Chicago, and then I even called you one day to fill in for to be the reader, because all they want to do is see you on camera, but then your reader just steps in, and you want somebody who's got a little bit of experience, that's not too shy, like because sometimes, although I have had people do it that have never even been on stage before, but then they're all of a sudden they're like telling me how to do the role and how to like they've never even like with you, you've been a performer and been a clown on stage and a musician and musician and also I'm a magician, MAG. Kim's also has been on stage with the magician and musician, magician and musician. Right. So I know. So yeah, it's pros and cons. Eventually you will want to join. It's I'm getting antsy to get some auditions again. Now right now I could audition for commercials or actually to be in commercials or even though I'm in SAG-AFTRA, or actually some of these independent, low budget SAG-AFTRA indies, they have to get special forms signed. But that's a whole nother thing. It gets in the well, it's more to do with them too. There's like a union crew, I believe. It's TM. There's a whole nother thing. I don't want to start in on that because that's something else I'm trying to learn. But there's actually, you can actually be a SAG-AFTRA actor, but also be on a set where not all the crew people are in the union and their union. See, they have their own union. See, their own. So yeah, so it's kind of like a, and it's so unfortunate, like what happened out in Santa Fe that day on that terrible, Western set. When who was, I don't want to say like the big star, but Baldwin. Yeah, that was really sad. And that cinematographer was so beautiful and young and talented. And then the director too, but at least he survived. But they may have had some less experienced people on the set. I don't want to get into that because I have no clue as to what happened there. I mean,
best to not know.
Well, yeah, but I do know this. I always think, oh, I want to work more. I'm an actor. Well, one of my agents, the one out in Hollywood, Philip, in their office, Pitt Mobile Talent, looked like, apparently I got a report that because you can get once you get an agent, and say for, anyway, so, because like with you could get a commercial agent, easy, first, and then you get a theatrical agent. But basically, I have a couple agents in LA and then one in Texas. But he had submitted me to be in that as a small role on that film. But it's a good thing maybe I wasn't there because I could have been standing in the wrong place at the wrong time. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time. It's like that I've been in the wrong place at the wrong time. Like when I was at that party that Weinstein was trying to invite people to, and then I had to leave. But it wasn't. None of the people showed up or something.
I think that's probably what I need. I think I need an agent.
Well, yeah, actually, since you're wanting to start out up there, the first step might even be just to go find a commercial agent to see, and then they can recommend some commercial classes, and then just audition for some commercials. And but with the YouTube thing, we can do so much. We could put together some things. I want to find out how to do commercials because I have a degree in journalism, and we used to have to write ads, and even when some of these small papers, we had to wear a lot of hats, and I was a reporter, editor on the news side, but sometimes I'd have to fill in and write some advertising stories or interview people for that and take their pictures. But I even thought about maybe putting together something where I like made ads for people online, and you could do that too, like, and put together their ads and maybe help them, maybe put together some ads. That can be very creative. Yeah, I know it. And there's voiceover, and that can be as competitive too, though. It's all competitive. And then the first time I moved out there, I was going to get more involved in screenwriting. And of course, I have the gift of gab, and that kind of. But I have started some scripts, and I have ideas, and it's just hard to do it all, But you just. Well, you can do it. We can do it, but. Well, I know, but it's fun, and you can complete a lot of things. The challenging part is when you're trying to make money in all of it. That's, but we could always try to do some things and then see. But that was really scary. Like think that I could have been in that film, but that breaks my heart though. That cinematographer was so beautiful and young and smart and talented. It just breaks my heart. In that film when she, that she lost her life on a set, because that just hardly ever happens, that just, except for that Paul Walker thing. Remember that? That was really sad.
Well, I remember James Dean.
Oh yes. But it's I mean, the only time I've been a little afraid on set. I know when I used to do a lot of extra work, they used to have these cameras swing over our heads, and my God, they would like miss our top of our head by just a fraction of an inch. I felt like, and they were like if we were like an audience scene or something. But it was exciting though. I remember when I smiled one time at Hugh Grant, he smiled back, and that was exciting. That was a film about America's hero, or it was about like one of those shows, like it was based on like a voiceover talent show, a voice talent show, or like a one of those those shows they have, America's Best Singer, you know what I mean, what I'm talking about, all those shows they have about where we could try to be on that. You could play the guitar. Yeah, talent shows, but anyway, well, so you're up there, and you said you work for a guy at a music store that gets to meet some celebrities. Sometimes he's met Johnny Depp or something.
Yeah, he does guitar work for a few people.
That is so awesome. Yeah, his Johnny Depp's music's pretty good.
Oh, they're all really talented musicians. And you know what? And there's a lot of actors that started out as musicians and then transitioned because they had the look, right?
Oh, right. Yes. They were. Yes, that's right. Yeah, I got to see, I guess Jeff Goldblum was singing on stage, and I've got to see John Corbett has a band, and I got to meet both of them. I met Goldblum when he was on stage. One time I was in this little Hollywood networking group thing, and I was watching them on stage at a nightclub out in LA, kind of near Beverly Hills, I believe. And then, but then I saw John Corbett was live out here in Louisville at a nightclub one night with his band. So, but anyway, that was really interesting. So, well, Kim, I guess shall we go? Are you busy?
Yeah, actually, my husband's going to be coming home soon to be catches me. I'm in some big trouble.
Why is that? Oh, because you're supposed to be doing something.
Oh, I'm supposed to be, taking care of stuff.
Well, yeah, and you said he can edit videos or something, right?
My man is a genius. I can't help but say it, but yes.
He can be our sound guy because he's a musician too. Yeah, yeah, he can be.
The whole thing.
Well, we might as well go. Brad Pitt or any of the others didn't appear on air with us, so. Well, they couldn't have called in anyway. Maybe because we're both tying up our phones and I'm on live, but maybe they were in our chat. But maybe I forgot to put chat stream allow chats. But maybe I would have had a bunch of people tell me to, like the other day I was going to the dollar store and some little kid runs up and says, "There's an old lady." I don't know if she said older lady or some old lady or something with her dog. I thought, gee, thanks, So kids are like, when I substitute teach, they're so honest,
Yeah, well, that's the best. Kids are the best.
Well, they can be, but some of them are smart Alex too. See?
We were once like that.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you go, Kim. And this was an experiment. I hope that we're able to hear you as well on this.
Thank you, Jean. I appreciate that.
Well, you're so sweet. We really survived these imposters by becoming friends, I think, because they were trying to drive us both crazy.
Yeah. But they forgot I've already been there.
Well, yeah, and us and about probably umpteen dozen other people, mostly women. Yeah. So, but anyway, well, we'll talk to you later, Kim. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Thank you very much, Jean.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Bye for now.
Okay, bye. Okay, bye, everybody. We'll go and we'll talk again another day. Okay, thanks. I hope you enjoyed that. This is my first time I think of doing a live stream right from my my laptop. But next time I may set up my iPad with my phone and figure out how to get my guest on, side by side in front of my blue screen, or do something interesting with a more interesting backdrop. And I apologize, but it's been interesting. We have to just throw ourselves into this technology thing and just learn it day by day. So I suppose. Okay, well, have a good day, everybody, and hang in there. We'll all make it through all these challenges we've been through in our lives, in our world, and don't give up. The best is yet to come for all of us, hopefully. Okay, or this too shall pass, or whatever it takes to pray or meditate or think positive to get through your day. Okay, have a good one, everybody. Bye.